Workshop.
Good evening and welcome to Sporlitics, where sports and politics mix and mingle. I'm Stacey Johnson. Joining me tonight is Aguna. He's back. The Nigerian moderate Republican. Keith, the constitutional conservative. Stephen, the independent thinker. And my cousin Todd making all the noise as usual. It's the economy. It's the economy, stupid. This kind of shock to the economy will have consequences. It will. And we're going to talk about what type of consequences it will have. What does that mean as the Fed hikes interest rates once again? NASCAR with Stephen and President Biden spoke last week with Chinese President Xi Jinping as Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi landed in Taiwan today against China's orders. Bill Russell's life and impact on the NBA, it was an incredible one. Would you join a new political party? I'm not talking Democrat. I'm not talking Republican. I'm not talking a Green Party. I'm not talking socialist or a new political party. Would you join it? We'll talk about how the powers that be have started a new political party. The U.S. State Department has proposed a prisoner of trade for the release of Brittany Griner and American Paul Wheeler. But my question is, what about American former Marine Matthew John Heath in Venezuela, who attempted suicide last year? How's your baseball team doing this year? NFL football camps have begun, and we know Aguna is very happy. But the question is, why is Deshaun Watson suspended for 6 games with the Cleveland Browns? Monkeypox is real. It is real, honey. Don't get caught up and get out it and get out in it. Bubba Watson was one of the golfers to play at Trump's Bedminster location under the Saudi Arabian sponsorship after former President Trump took his first presidential trip to that country. Looks like he took advantage of going there first. Voting primaries today in Arizona, Kansas, Michigan, Missouri, Washington State, Ohio, and the state legislature in Ohio. Senate Republicans have reached an agreement to pass legislation expanding benefits for veterans who are suffering illnesses due to toxic exposures after the same Senate Republicans blocked the bill last week and sparked outrage from the veteran community and comedian Jon Stewart. All of that, which is a ton and more, if we can fit it up. First up, NASCAR with Stephen. Let me play this, and then Stephen will comment right after.
I'm not sure what could have led to this. As you see Ty climbing out, there's Kyle Larson.
Kyle was already multiple laps down, just trying to finish his day out.
So the AMR safety team there tending to Ty Dillon as Kyle Larson's going to jog his way back into the infield.
And I think Kyle and him is going to talk about it for a second.
Wanted to figure out what went wrong there. Let's take a look.
Oh boy, my goodness.
Oh, and I'm sure Kyle was coming over to apologize.
Some sort of mechanical issue on the 5 car for him. Look at that. He is flying when he comes in there.
So I heard him say, wow. I have a pedal, which looking back now, maybe he didn't have brakes, and now he does have brakes. That's the one thing that seems to make sense. And to your point, that is why he went over to talk to Ty Dillon.
I'd say we're lucky that wasn't worse than it was. I mean,
that was huge.
I agree, Jeff. That's a big impact. Oh my goodness.
Gosh.
I mean, the speeds that they're getting going into turn one. And if
Hey, race fans, thanks for watching our video. For all NASCAR on Fox News, content, and the best clips from Fox Sports, be sure to follow and subscribe to our channel.
Steven. I don't think that was intentional. When he went into him, you could see it's almost like he lost control. What happened?
Oh, his brakes went on his car. He had no control over it at all. And these new cars are so fantastic and amazing that both people could get out. They're both going to be hurt, a little bit hurt, because it was about 150 miles an hour. But he had no control of his car, and he ran over to check on the guy and say, "Are you okay?" Make sure he's fine, and let him know, "Hey, I didn't do anything. This wasn't me. Something broke in the car." So these cars are amazing, and now we can have. I didn't think that the races could get any better. You know, now we have Indy, a road course at Indy now, and we're doing a lot more road courses. And these cars are made for road courses, and for people who aren't even that good generally at road courses are doing well now, because these cars will let you beat and bang and bump and rub the way they used to be. But the metal in those cars will just crumple on them. This material that they're using now, the cars can withstand it. So they can go 6 wide in a turn that's made for 4 cars, 6 wide, 8 wide. You know, they can go as wide as they want and just bang the whole time and go around and do these really tough turns. And it's really good racing. And NASCAR every week, it improves, and they change little things during the week or maybe it'll be 2 weeks. But it's wonderful. It's just right. If you just would watch this last race, the action in it is absolutely amazing. And the fact that people can stay in, even though they hit the wall, they hit each other, they slap the wall, hit each other, they can stay in. It makes it so much more enjoyable.
Go ahead, Keith. What did you want to say?
Yeah, can you guys hear me? I wanted to say this.
You're breaking up, but go ahead.
Well, I just want to say those guys are tremendous amount of a skill at driving. I'm gonna give them that, Stephen. I mean, to go at that rate of speed and be able to still get some control over the car, have no brakes. Those guys are amazing. I have to admit. I wonder how much practice they do. They're awesome to see that.
They were 5 years old. 5 years old. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, I hear you.
They've been doing it since they were about 5 years old, most of them. And a lot of them had parents that are race car drivers, and they follow in their footsteps. And it's just like anything, gymnastics for some people, or martial arts or whatever. It's just something else that you can really get into. And that's why they are the best. These people, if you go and see it live and you have a really good view, you can even more appreciate than what you can see on TV when you see it with your own eyes. It's amazing. It's amazing what they can do.
I think they're going to have a race in Chicago now, and so there's a lot of opportunity for, to bring a different dynamic into not just Indianapolis. Right now, you got Chicago, talk about Milwaukee, so all these urban cities where you're starting to see. I think they did it in Baltimore not too long ago, so I think that brings a different dynamic to racing, and also gets more people in urban areas kind of engaged with it. So yeah, definitely takes a lot of skill.
All right. So Bill Russell had an incredible career. Let's our thoughts and prayers to his family, as I'm sure they are missing him right now. Let's look back on his legacy.
We've got some sad breaking news to tell you about. Boston Celtics legend Bill Russell has died. He started his remarkable career at the University of San Francisco, where he was a 2-time All-American. Russell also won 2 straight NCAA championships and led the team to 55 consecutive wins. He won a gold medal at the 1956 Olympics. For his 13 years in Boston, Russell carried the Celtics to the NBA Finals 12 times, winning the championship 11 times. He finished with 21,620 career rebounds. Until Michael Jordan's accomplishments in the 1990s, Russell was considered by many as the greatest player in NBA history. Russell's family tweeted about his passing just a few moments ago, thanking fans for keeping him in their prayers. Bill Russell was 88 years old.
Okay, Aguna, you want to talk on Bill Russell and what he meant to the NBA?
Yeah, just a phenomenal athlete. Just think about it. I think Michael Jordan has 6 titles or something like that. He has 11. So for the time that he was, and then they didn't have 3-point lines back then and stuff like that, for him to just dominate. And if anyone on the show, especially our viewers, if you can go back and just watch the battles between Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain of the Lakers back in the 60s. I mean, it's just, they're two big men just going at it in the finals. And it's just it was a different era. He brought in a lot of different skill sets to the game. And he was also, he revolutionized the game, even as a player, as a coach. So he was really a phenomenal athlete. And even after he retired, he still was an activist. He still contributed a lot to the community. He still, identified a lot of things that, we, nowadays we tend to frown upon, right? But remember when many of those athletes, Jim Brown, Bill Russell, when they started to support Ali during the draft, that was very controversial at the time. It was very similar to what you saw with Colin Kaepernick, and folks weren't very happy about, Black athletes standing up and using their athleticism and their, platform to talk to those social issues. And you see today where, this whole shut up and dribble, where these, athletes, are frowned upon when they do, get into the political or talk about activism. It's one of those things where maybe 20 years from now, we'll look back and say, yeah, this was a good time to really stand up and make your voices heard. But Bill started that back in the 60s with civil rights, with the draft, a very unpopular war in Vietnam. So for him to speak up as a Black athlete, again, he wouldn't have been able to speak up if he wasn't just the best in the game at that time. He was just the best. He was just dominant in the game. And so people had no choice but to listen to him and to, at least kind of use that platform to at least highlight and hear what he had to say. So yes, definitely missed. I mean, even though he's a Celtic, as a Sixers fan, it's kind of hard to give praise to Celtics, but definitely one of the best NBA players of all time.
Anyone else want to talk to how great Bill Russell was?
Aguna pretty much covered it up. We could probably just
I think it was great because think about it. Not too many. Huh?
Go ahead, Keith.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying I think he was a great player, and also great because not too many men would stand up against Wilt Chamberlain back then. I mean, Wilt Chamberlain, man, that dude was a bully. I mean, in a good sense, I guess, a positive sense, if you could put it that way. Very intimidating, and he stood up against him. But I didn't agree with all his politics, but I do agree with his civil rights stand back in those days.
I think you're on mute.
I'm trying to keep everything going at the same time. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties, trying to keep it going so we have a smooth show. Let's real quickly look at Brittany Griner's particular situation.
The United States says it's offered Russia a deal aimed at freeing the American basketball star Brittany Griner and a former U.S. Marine Paul Whelan. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says that he plans to discuss the matter in a phone call with his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov. Now, this would be the first such contact since Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Barbara Plett-Usher tells us more.
Hostage diplomacy is intruding on America's basketball courts. Players in the Washington Mystics know Brittany Griner. They've competed against her. They respect her. They're shaken by her arrest.
It was really sad and a bit scared because it felt like it could be any of us. You know, I play overseas. The vast majority of WNBA players play overseas. And so seeing her in that type of position, where she's kind of helpless, was really unfortunate.
Griner pled guilty to a drug-related charge, but says she didn't intend to break the law. The U.S. claims she's been wrongfully detained, which Russia denies. But now, in a rare move, the State Department has gone public about an offer to win her release and that of another American, Paul Whelan.
We've conveyed this on a number of occasions and directly to Russian officials. And my hope would be that in speaking to Foreign Minister Lavrov, I can advance the efforts to bring them home.
He wouldn't give details, but the administration did recently agree to a prisoner swap with the Kremlin for this former U.S. Marine. That increased pressure from the families of other detainees. Earlier, the president's point man for hostages told me their campaign was effective.
I think the importance of the families coming up with their narrative to address what they're going through is actually very powerful for them. And I think it's also good in holding, I guess say, in creating situational awareness and at times holding the U.S. government accountable.
Brittany Griner's case has helped shine a spotlight on an issue that's usually in the shadows. This mural, recently unveiled, highlights how many Americans are in this fix, how many stories there are. Such as Matthew Heath. He's been held in Venezuela for nearly 2 years.
Matthew's been beaten over there so many times that both of his hands have been broken.
He tried to take his own life and has been moved to a military hospital.
My son is not going to survive if our government does not get him home. I don't know how much more he can endure.
The return of any detainee would bring hope to others, but not dispel their desperate, agonizing uncertainty. Barbara Platt-Usher, BBC News, Washington.
Okay, Todd, do you want to talk to how fair or unfair it is that Brittany Griner be recognized and you know, they work really hard to bring her home really quickly, yet they're not bringing Matthew John Heath, who served his country. Mm-hmm. He was a former Marine. He was in Venezuela. He's still there. His mother said they broke both his hands. He tried to commit suicide. Right. But I'm not understanding why the focus is on Brittany, and it wasn't on Paul Whelan, but it was on Brittany. But since Paul Whelan is still in Russia too, his family said, hey, what about him? He's a former member of the U.S. military. Okay. Well, don't rush me. Don't rush me through my point. Okay. Like, you know, don't rush me. I don't care. You don't want nobody to rush you. You don't want anyone to rush you.
You do every week. You do. I say
go ahead.
You say, okay, move on. Anyway, you can't compare because all of these situations are different. It just so happens Brittany is famous, and they're using this as a tool to get her out, her notoriety. And so I hated that any of them are over there, but what can you do? Americans want all of their citizens home, but unfortunately, they're not releasing them unless they can make a swap that they think is equitable. So it's nothing you can do. We can get Brittany home. Let's get her home and then work on the others.
Aguna, I mean, how do you feel about that? Considering, you know, I'm saying Brittany Griner should be brought home.
Yeah,
definitely. But we have former people who served and put their lives on the line for this country. Mm-hmm. Why are we not working?
We are working together.
I was talking to Aguna. I wasn't talking to you.
Well, don't make it seem like the United States isn't working hard to get all of their people back. They are.
Yeah. I mean, but it's disproportionately when you're dealing with a celebrity athlete first, especially given the situation in the Ukraine and the Russian-U.S. relations going right where they are right now, she did break the law. Now, I don't think it's proportionate to the crime. And again, over here in the U.S., we like to apply our values and principles in other countries. But the fact of the matter is, she made a mistake. You don't want to make it seem as if, the proportionate to the crime that, you need to do 10 years for some weed oil or whatever. But then you're really talking about some of these other bad actors that they're talking about swapping her for, the Russians. I mean, spies and assassins that we're getting into negotiation of
arms dealers.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are some bad hombres, right? So you're really elevating and giving Russia a lot of stock when you're giving these folks back. So the fact that they're even considering this, tells you a lot about just the state of our politics as Americans and how we apply our values. Again, we're swapping an athlete for some of the some pretty bad arms dealers and assassins and things like that. So the fact that they're working on it, and again, they are, to Todd's point, they are working on it. I mean, I think Venezuela is a different political situation, diplomatic situation than it is with Russia. So there's different ways that these things have to happen, and there's different things that we can leverage as the U.S. in order to bring people home. But I definitely think they're working on it.
So, Stephen, how do you feel about this? Do you think the Marines and the former military people should come home first because they're not as famous as Brittany Griner?
And they were doing something for this country. They weren't just trying to get high. Yeah, they're the ones that probably need to come back first before anybody else. But maybe they all come back together. Why can't they all come back together? Why can't we, while they're distracted in the Ukraine, why can't we go over there and just get them ourselves? What are we doing?
What makes you, with your dumb self, think she was just trying to get high?
We're the United States.
Where did that come from? She wasn't just trying to get high.
All the military is in Ukraine.
Are you trying to get high?
No, he said, basically, Stephen's saying we're going to go start World War III in order to get a WNBA star.
Well, you know what? If everything looks like it's going to be World War III, we might as well start it and get our people back. We might as well do it.
Yeah, let's send a missile in there.
No,
all right.
We'll just get our people out. We have horrible people. The basketball player's not horrible. The Marines not horrible. The people we have there are not horrible. The people we have from Russia is horrible.
The way you just described her as somebody who just wanted to get high,
you're right.
You are ridiculous.
We should not make a swap with those people.
Okay. Welcome to Sporlitics, where sports and politics mix and mingle. What's your name and what's your comment? Hello.
Oh, my bad. Hey, I needed some more volume out here. What's going on?
Yeah. Hey, Nas.
Hey, what's up?
Oh,
I don't think Todd needs you tonight.
It's just
Aguna's back.
It's just that Stephen referred to Brittany
to deal with some of the things he has to listen to
as somebody who just wanted to get high.
What are you talking about?
I was talking about the weed oil. So Stephen referred to Brittany Griner as just trying to get high.
Yeah, she shouldn't have. The laws are different in other countries, like you said. I completely agree with you. And when you're in other countries, what happened to that warm beer in North Korea when he took a poster? They killed him. They brought him back mingled up. This is what happens in other countries. This is why America is the best country. You don't want to live in Russia. You don't want to live in North Korea.
Todd, why don't you go to Russia, Todd?
Yeah. Todd,
so, all right. So four-time world champion. Let me see if I can share my screen. I can't share my screen. Four-time world champion Sebastian Vettel has announced his retirement from Formula One, and it will occur at the end of this year. Vettel is out of contract with Aston Martin at the end of the season, and after weeks of speculation about his future, has now confirmed he will be stepping away from the sport at the end of 2022, according to Lawrence Edmondson, F1 editor for ESPN.com. Stephen, do you know much about Sebastian Vettel?
I don't even know how old he is. Why he's retiring.
Yeah, who the hell is this? Who is this guy?
He
I don't know who he is. But he's.
Go ahead.
I bet you he's had way too much going on. He's had too many accidents or something, and he wants out now. I don't even know how old he is. I didn't even hear he was retiring. I didn't know. I don't even think he's 40
Let me
years
share my
old.
screen. So he is. Can you see my screen? This is Sebastian Vettel.
Yeah.
He's 4-time world champion, and he announced his retirement from Formula One.
All right, cool.
But why?
Best of luck.
You
I'll give the over-under at 3.5 weeks. He'll be back.
Yeah.
All right, you guys are so ignorant.
He's not old enough to retire. He's not Serena's age.
As you know, all along, I've said and tried to be consistent that I'm going to respect this process. And as you saw today, this process will continue with today's ruling. This is a jointly agreed upon process from the NFLPA and the NFL. This was collectively bargained, and so I'm going to respect Judge Robinson and her opinion right now until more information becomes available to me.
In her report today, Sue Robinson wrote that Watson violated the personal conduct policy on 3 counts, including as the league, according to the league's definition, sexual assault and endangering another person. Does that give you any pause? If not, why?
Well, I haven't been able to read the entire ruling, Jake. I think all along we've been very consistent, like you mentioned, and that was from a lot of work on Deshaun the person throughout this entire process. So I'm going to remain what we've said all along about Deshaun the person. I would mention Deshaun has said it that he is working to be the best version of himself. He's committed to that. He said that publicly. He said that privately, and I believe that.
In the Haslam statement that they put out, they said that Deshaun has expressed remorse. In Sue L. Robinson's report today, one of the things she noted is that Watson did not express remorse. So I guess where has Deshaun expressed remorse?
Again, I didn't read I was out in the practice field, so I haven't read the entire report, but I believe Deshaun has told you guys in a press conference, he's told me privately, he wants to be the best version of himself. I believe that wholeheartedly. He's working on that, and I'll let Deshaun at some point speak for himself.
With him taking a lot of the first team reps throughout this camp so far, is there a concerted effort to sort of establish him as the leader of this football team and the starting quarterback on the part of the rest of the team?
Yeah, I think so, Mary Kay. I think more than anything, I mean, he's our starter, and we need to get him ready to play games. Jacoby's our backup. We need to get him ready to play games. Obviously, week 1 with the suspension, we expect Jacoby to be in there. So there's a point in our practice plan where we'll shift gears, if you will. But for right now, we feel comfortable with the plan that we have.
Okay, so let me start. I want to start with the lightweights of football. Cousin Todd, let's start with you.
What do you want me to say?
Well, what would a lightweight about the NFL would say?
All right. Well, I have my notes here.
Okay, good.
I think the Eagles have a good chance of winning this year. And I believe with the help of what's his name? Dr. J, I think they will go all the way to the Sugar Bowl.
Okay, thank you.
And
All right, enough of him. I just put him on mute. Enough of that. Keith, another lightweight when it comes to the NFL. What do you think?
Well, first of all, there's only one Dr. J, and that ain't him. But anyway, I don't know. Those are only speculations that I could give, so I'm going to pass.
All right, thank you. All right, now to the regular NFL true fans and watchers. Let's start with Steven.
Oh, well, I don't know if you know, I switched teams. I'm with Vegas Raiders now, They're going to have a great team. They're going to be a top 3 offense. I don't know about the defense, but they're going to compete in a hard league. But I will say for my former conference, the Eagles, and I can still pull for the Eagles as well. They're gonna win easily over Dallas Giants.
You mean your former team, the Washington Commanders, right?
Yeah, they took my team away from me. I was the Redskins all my life. That since 1937, I was a Redskins fan. That's how old I am, and that's how long I've been a fan. And so it's a terrible thing to lose your team that way. So I decided to go with Vegas. They can't go bad. This should be their year. They got the best wide receiver from Green Bay Packers and Devontae Adams, and I think it's gonna be a good year. That's my team now. But I still say the Eagles are going to do well, and they may even with your quarterback that I loved for how many years now, Aguna? 2 years. Your quarterback that I love is going to take y'all to where you want to go, and I hope it's not just getting to the Super Bowl. You might get another one.
All right, so Nas. Well, wait, before Nas goes, let me share my screen. Then I'm going to ask this. I'm going to ask this question.
Todd's not on mute.
Todd's not on mute, but let me share the screen with you so you can see this. It says arbitration decisions aren't designed to make everybody happy. The decisions are supposed to be based on the evidence presented and precedent in place. As you read through the 16-page report, which we will not do, the retired federal judge, Sue L. Robinson, it's clear she tried to maintain that balance, right? So Robinson found Watson guilty of violating the league's personal conduct policy in 3 ways. One way was by engaging in sexual assault. Another way was by engaging in conduct that poses a genuine danger to the safety and well-being of another person. And 3, by engaging in conduct that undermines or puts at risk the integrity of the NFL. So, Nas, I want to ask you, if he was guilty of those 3 things, how can he be a starting quarterback and leader of the Cleveland Browns?
Well, like we talked about a couple weeks ago, they had already written the contract to kind of be prepared for this. So I would say the fix was already in from the beginning. NFL teams got a certain date when they would be eligible to vie for the services of Deshaun Watson. Then you get the contract with the suspension baked into it. So, I mean, this is just a lot of grandstanding. And ultimately, like listening to that interview, like the NFL just takes itself way too seriously. You're bringing in federal judges and you're doing all these things like you're a football league. Like stop it. Stop with the extra importance and poking your chest out. You're a football league, a league who also stopped the players from finding out about concussion information that you knew decades ago. A league who has an owner in Jimmy Haslam who was stealing from local truck dealers in Cleveland with a scam he was running where he was almost federally indicted. You got Ziggy Wood out there in Minnesota, who a real estate scam that he had going on. Then you go down to Florida, this new owner from the Miami Dolphins, Ross, he has a situation to where, you know, the former coach who is suing him looks to be proven right with the way the NFL came down on him with his scheme to get Tom Brady to come over and lose on purpose so he could get more draft picks. Ultimately, the league is so dirty and so corrupt. The fact that they want to present themselves as some kind of moral institution who should weigh in on judgment on anything is laughable. So that'll be my soapbox rant for the day.
Okay, so Aguna, if you look at this article, this continued article, it says, what's the point? Let me put everyone on mute. I don't know how that happened. So I can make sure that you hear me and we don't have any sound problems. What is the point of neutral arbitration when the commissioner of the NFL still has final say on discipline? And I'm going to stop my screen and let you go, Aguna.
they're crossing the T's and dotting the I's. I mean, at the end of the day, what the judge is ruling is that, okay, NFL, this Deshaun Watson violated, personal conduct policy in 3 different areas. Okay, so now NFL, go and rule, what you feel is the appropriate punishment for the fact that this guy violated these policies. And so the NFL says, okay, we've done our due diligence. The judge has his ruling. Therefore, we're going to do our standard 6-game suspension like we did for anything else. And then if there are criminal charges later on or civil suits later on, let Deshaun Watson deal with that. But we as the NFL are just showing that we're going through the motions in order to justify a 6-game suspension that we probably were going to give anyway. We're just trying to show, good faith or good, from a PR standpoint that we went through these motions. And I think, at the end of the day, I think this was going to happen. I think when Cleveland made that trade for Deshaun Watson and they created that deal, there is no way that the NFL will allow a franchise to get in that situation without knowing that, there is probably going to be the 6-game suspension. And then, because there's too much money at risk. We're talking an astronomical amount of money. We have a Cleveland fan base is really strapped for a championship. We have, owners who are trying to do profit sharing. You have the media marketing around what's going to happen coming out of this case. Because again, one of the things that the NFL is going to do, they're going to try to play both sides of the fence. They're going to be people that are provoked by this, but then they're going to be people that appreciate it. And then so that whole dynamic is something that they're going to play into going forward. Because in the NFL, at the end of the day, is a male soap opera. So bad publicity, good publicity, they're going to cash in on it regardless. And they knew that this was going to be a 6-game suspension. They probably talked to the Browns before when they did the contract and did the trade. Everything was set up. There's nothing, we're talking about millions and billions of dollars. None of that is going to be set up for chance. So, I mean, it is what it is. We kind of figured this was going to happen.
Well, I'm one who's very disappointed because a lot of kids go to watch these games. A lot of kids are fans of the NFL. And if you're looking up to and hearing about Deshaun Watson getting suspended 6 games for assaulting multiple or being accused,
right?
Allegedly, I don't know that for sure. Allegedly, accused of assaulting over 20 women. Right. Just like with Bill Cosby. I mean, how is that a leader? How can the Cleveland Browns head coach that we saw earlier say he's the leader? How do you allow that person to be a leader? Because I know if it had been me, you, Todd, Stephen, or Keith, they would have said, "Oh no, they're not leaders. They can't do that."
No, there's no actual proof that he did anything wrong. And all these women used the same lawyer, and they might have had the same scheme. We don't know for sure anything about this. But I think he didn't get to play last year. He'll get a 6-game suspension this year. I think he's been punished enough because he hasn't really been proven of doing anything wrong. And he's going to make Cleveland. He's going to make.
But then I say to you, if you say, okay, let's say what you're saying, Stephen. Let's say what you're saying is true. Then how could they have punished Kaepernick and nobody accused him of anything?
Who punished Kaepernick? He quit. He left.
He didn't quit. They wouldn't let him play. They're letting Deshaun Watson back in.
They didn't let Watson play last year. They're not letting him play for 6 games this year.
They arbitrarily not. Nas, you want to talk about this?
He's been punished enough.
Kaepernick was not accused by anyone.
Hey, for fantasy football, you better take Deshaun Watson, Aguna. You better take Deshaun Watson.
I think so, man. I need all 17 games. I can't.
Nas.
I got a different league than you do. I'm in the caveman league. I'll talk to you later about it.
Yeah, that's really not worth going into. Roger Goodell has even admitted that they did Kaepernick wrong, and they had to pay restitution for it legally. So I don't even know why people are still trying to argue the other side.
No, I'm trying to say to Stephen what he's saying was incorrect. That's why I brought it up. He can't have it both ways. Kaepernick did nothing to no one. He didn't touch anybody. He wasn't accused by over 20 women of doing them dirty. Kaepernick was not accused of that.
Yeah, but he made white society uncomfortable.
Kaepernick.
Wait, say that again, Nas. What did he do?
He made white people uncomfortable. and that comes usually with a heavy penalty in America. So salute to the great Bill Russell. Rest in peace to him, who passed away the other day, who had a similar situation happen in his career to where he made some folks uncomfortable. And, you know, he went through a lot of pain because of it. But to the last Deshaun Watson point, though, I think we're getting the and I'm not saying us, I'm just saying just in general, just a conversation about it. I think one thing we're getting wrong is the assumption that they did this for Deshaun. No, they did this for the Cleveland Browns.
Right.
We paid that boy. We want that boy to play, and we're going to give him 6 games. Let's go. Like, we're making I think the media is really making a big mistake because they're making us into is he a hero or anti-hero? Deshaun Watson. Yada, yada. Cleveland wanted that dude to play football.
Yeah, because Cleveland needs them. They're in the AFC North. They need like Todd needs Nas. Cleveland needs Deshaun desperately, and that
You got Amari Cooper up there. They're going to challenge.
They need him. It's no, they're going to
Bengals.
get swamped again. They can't even make it without him. But they could have got Kaepernick if that's the case. Why didn't they get Kaepernick?
Kaepernick is no good. Deshaun Watson's a top 3 quarterback. Kaepernick is a bottom 20.
Oh, you're crazy.
Well,
you sound crazy.
Yeah, I mean, there was some question.
I call him Crappernick.
Jesus. He did go to the Super Bowl, though. So here's the thing.
Duh.
He
sure did.
And again, Kaepernick, I always question Kaepernick's playing ability.
15 quarterback. I think that's realistic. There's nothing wrong with that. But to say that a top 15 quarterback doesn't have a job during his prime years, that lets you know this was something outside of football.
Right.
This is not hard, man. It is what it is. We know what happened. Goodell made the admission. Goodell even tried to get some of these guys to hire him, but they refused to do it because and this is a part that most people don't like. As much as we talk bad about these owners, some of these owners know their fan base really well.
Go ahead, Aguna.
That smoke. They don't want that smoke. So, I mean, there's certain owners that would, because there was talk about Kaepernick coming to the Eagles, right? There, when we did the Super Bowl run, they talked about Nick Foles not being that guy and maybe go out and get Kaepernick. And like I said, the smoke that comes along with that controversy, and then, of course, it was a manufactured controversy. It was politicized and opportunistically, taken advantage of by the powers that be. We get that. But at the end of the day, the owners didn't want to address that issue at the time. Now, the sad thing is, since then, you've seen provisions and things done to move forward in the same things that Kaepernick was bringing up. Not to say that things have gotten perfect, but they've been highlighting social injustice issues since. So it took Kaepernick basically throwing his career away, if you would, to highlight that issue. And like I said, 20 years, 30 years from now, you're going to look back, you're going to look what Kaepernick did, just like Bill Russell. Again, Bill Russell, what he did at the time wasn't popular. Let's not sit here and romanticize that the people that he made uncomfortable were actually understanding and like, oh, you know what, you're right. You should have done this. You should support Muhammad Ali. No, they called him a socialist. They called him all kind of bad words, just like Martin Luther King at the time, because it made people uncomfortable. It was very unpopular. And the politics at the time weren't really happy with African Americans speaking up, just like they're not happy with athletes speaking up now. So again, I think, unlike this Deshaun Watson situation, it's about money. Cleveland is a small market team that are trying to turn around in the AFC North. So you have Baltimore, they want to get this Brown Cincinnati Bengal rivalry, back where it was. And then you have a Pittsburgh team that's probably doing some transitioning or rebuilding, right? So it's one of those things where they want that AFC North to be competitive. You want Deshaun Watson in there going up against Joe Burrow. You want what's his name from Lamar Jackson against Watson, against Burrow. I mean, that's going to be a very dynamic division to watch this year.
Great.
And the league wants to.
Hey, you know what? NFL might put that 6-game hiccup on hold and let him play the first game. Depends on public persuasion at this point,
right?
Because he really hasn't been proven guilty. So maybe it'll turn around. They say, look, he'll pass his appeal. Maybe he'll pass his appeal. Because people want to see him play.
Stephen, come on now. So it's 22 women, right? It's 22. It would be different if it was 1 or 2 or 3. We're talking about 22 women are saying basically that he did something inappropriate.
Do you think 22 women? Do you think 22 people could conspire together to tell a lie for a financial gain. I think 22 people could do that.
22 people could conspire to tell a lie. The problem is when you got the Cash App and that you were at these people's houses meeting them clandestinely away from your girlfriend. You are a kid who grew up in the church. Remember, he's one of the kids from Ward Dunn, the former Falcon running back.
Yeah, right.
Deshaun Watson was one of the kids. Like, he's the ultimate golden boy story. And then you find out there's an extreme dark side to him that a lot of people
know that. We don't know that. We assume that somebody said it. We don't know if he's got a dark side like that.
There's some immoral things going on here. And also,
they should put a camera up. Hey, how about the first 12
person to ever take snaps at quarterback, because he could have been robbed, killed, or anything, meeting these people one-on-one without, like, I don't even think he understands the risk he was taking. You know how many people would love to have a multimillionaire come into their house late at night so they can call their friends and set up a robbery? Like, that dude don't even know how lucky he is.
I thought it was only established points.
But it seems as though also, to what you were saying, Nas, he wasn't thinking about that. That wasn't on his mind.
He run his whole life without repercussions for his actions. I think he was doing this because he could get away with it. I mean, you operate,
or he felt that he was one enough. He's experienced the hood enough that he could fight his way out of it.
Then why didn't he go to jail?
You don't know if he had any type of weapon.
If 22 people accused him, why didn't he go to jail? It used to take
two
people.
The jury's still out on that.
And 22 people can't get him in jail.
That's what we get into. It's not sexual assault. We're talking about misconduct. So the question is, okay, once he was told no and didn't get consent, did he stop? Did he force anybody to do anything? And that's where you get
anybody. Then that's beyond the pale.
Said he finished himself in front of them, even though they didn't want him to. But there's no situation to where we're talking about sexual assault, where like the Roethlisberger case, where the woman is accusing him of physically forcing
himself on her. He didn't physically force himself onto these women. So you just did something that I didn't want to, or somebody didn't want to see.
He was being
and you made me watch it, or you made me sit there, or you made me be in the room.
They don't finish.
Stephen, why are you defending a pervert? I mean, what's going on?
We don't know.
I know you're down in your basement and stuff. But, I mean, come on, this dude.
We don't know he's a pervert.
He should have done that stuff.
How do we know he's a pervert? We don't know. Do you actually know?
Okay,
Were you one of the?
At his golf club at Bedminster, New Jersey, today former President Trump, along with other celebrities, teed off in the Pro-Am for this weekend's controversial tournament. The Saudi-funded Live Golf Invitational Series had already plucked some of the biggest names in golf from the PGA Tour. Now it's sparking new outrage.
This golf tournament is taking place 50 miles from ground zero.
It's disgusting.
Families of those killed on 9/11 are out with this new ad. They say the tournament is insulting since 15 of the 9/11 hijackers were from Saudi Arabia, and that government has a long history of human rights abuses. Terry Strata lost her husband Tom in the attacks.
The kingdom is throwing billions of dollars into a PR stunt. They just want to whitewash away the history that they have with the 9/11 community.
Today, former President Trump said he's been friends with Saudi Arabia for a long time, and when asked about the families who are protesting the tournament,
nobody's gotten to the bottom of 9/11, unfortunately, and they should have.
When you heard that, what went through your head?
Well, he sounds like a fool.
The controversy comes after President Biden drew international outrage by traveling to Saudi Arabia, greeting with a fist bump the Saudi leader that U.S. intelligence says ordered the torture and killing of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi. The Saudi government has long denied it was involved in either Khashoggi's murder or 9/11. Live Golf tells NBC News these families have our deepest sympathy. While some may not agree, we believe golf is a force for good around the world. The 9/11 families plan to protest here near the golf course tomorrow as this tournament officially tees off.
Okay, let's start with Keith. Keith, do you believe President Trump? I mean, why would he say, they really should have gotten to the bottom of that. He was president of the United States. He could have gotten to the bottom of it. Why didn't he?
I have no idea. I mean, this again is one of those things that speculation, it calls for each of our speculation. None of us on this show no matter what we say or what you're going to hear from others, are going to be able to quite justify everything they know. There's no way that they're going to be able to. I guarantee you. All we're going to do is speculate here. So let me just say, by speculating, look, it's kind of like the Taiwan situation where Nancy Pelosi goes to Taiwan, everybody's upset. The whole world is upset. I mean, Taiwan has a right to call America over to Taiwan. Nancy Pelosi has a right. I don't like her, but she has a right to go to Taiwan if Taiwan agrees to it. I don't care what China says. F China. Now, I'll go back to the subject at hand. I'll just say once again, it depends on what the agreements are all about. And see, we don't know that. We have no idea what kind of negotiations Trump made with these people. So I don't know. And all the people that are angry, I don't care if they are conservative, they need to check themselves because they don't know either. And they don't know about 9/11. They don't know what they had to do with 9/11. There's no evidence. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Cousin Todd. Or you want to go last, Cousin Todd?
I don't care.
Go ahead.
Donald Trump is a money-grubbing con artist. And to have them come here, he just wants to make money. How typical. And he's never interested in 9/11. He was never interested in that, pretending like he had hundreds of friends die at 9/11. No, he didn't. He's a con artist. And so now the people, and some of those people, I believe, voted for him. Now they're just saying exactly who he is. A money-grubbing con artist that had no business in the White House. And as far as that last topic of this sexually deviant person, Donald Trump was accused of rape twice. Once by his ex-wife and once by another socialite in New York. He should have been in jail. That's all.
Stacey's on mute.
Oh, I'm sorry, Stephen. Thank you. Thank you, Guna. Donald Trump's first foreign trip as president was to Saudi Arabia. Now, after he's not president, Saudi Arabia comes to his golf course and sponsors golf.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he was the Cookie Monster put his hand in a cookie jar?
No, I don't think so. No. What has happened that we haven't discussed yet is there's a lot of great golfers that left the PGA Tour and went to Saudi Arabia, and the PGA Tour is really upset about it. And they have their own thing that they're paying, like these guys would make $1 million a year. These guys in Saudi Arabia are making maybe $10 million a year, $20 million a year if they win a game or not. They have so much money over there because they're allowed to produce their own oil, and they have so much money they're drowning in oil that they're so happy that and this is just another golf. Like the PGA goes all over the world. They play everywhere. Well, this Saudi Arabian league plays everywhere, and they're going to happen to play in the United States, and they happen to play at a Donald Trump sponsored, probably one of his courses, I'm sure, and they're going to play there. So that's fine. And there's nothing that says that that this group of people can't join Saudi Arabia. And if President Biden goes out there and makes a deal with them, and we've always made deals with Saudi Arabia, and they are going against Iran, and they were in our best interest in so many other ways, except for chopping up a reporter that was one of ours and it's like an American, and it made everybody upset. If we can all just get past that a little bit and say, don't do that again, don't sin again, then we can be cool with Saudi Arabia. So no, I don't think Donald Trump's doing anything wrong, and everybody's going to try to find something about him that's bad. Now, is he going to make some kind of deal or have some kind of thing for the future with them? Of course he is, because he's like everybody else. Everybody in that position is where they are because of who they are. So he's not going to change his stripes, and Nancy Pelosi's not going to change her stripes, and neither is Joe Biden. None of them are. But no, he did nothing wrong with his golf course and having a tournament there.
Okay, Nas. the Cookie Monster put his hand in the cookie jar. I also think that had I done that, having worked for President Bush, I'd be in jail.
Yeah, probably. Now, look, y'all gonna have to just kind of roll with me because I'm probably gonna be a little meandering here, and I'm probably gonna upset somebody. But like, yeah, he's gonna take the money. What's the $1 million man phrase from wrestling? Everybody's got a price. Yeah, we're finding that out. Tiger supposedly turned down $800 million from this group to move from PGA to their golfing little situation. So I mean, this is what it is. Grifters are going to grift, so of course Donald was going to come with his begging bowl and get a little bit. If y'all remember that first trip to Saudi Arabia, this is when he put his hands on that orb and we did the military deal, and then some people in Yemen died. So if you really want to like get into the morality of things, I don't know where we get off telling anybody about blood money. Americans telling people about blood money? That is insane. So, I mean, I don't want to go too far into that. I think we all know enough to know better than for us to be trying to be the moral arbiter of things. Like, I can't believe we're even trying to pull
I don't think it's that we're trying to be the moral arbiter. I don't think that's it. I was saying that, how come I can't do that and he can? Now, I wouldn't do that because I'm an ethical person. But had I not been an ethical person, what gives him the right to do it and I can't do it?
Because you're black and you're a girl, and this is America.
Relationships he created while president. His son got supposedly $2 billion. Well, his son-in-law, Kushner, got supposedly $2 billion from that same person. I'm talking about MBS over there in Saudi Arabia. But again, man, I don't know if we can do the moral thing with money, man. We have a lot of products on our bodies right now and things we've ingested all today because of the poverty and imperialism that we've kind of lashed out against the world. So our standard of living has kind of risen by a lot of misery other places. So it's hard for me to say we can wag our finger at somebody for taking the Saudi money. So that I don't know, man. That's just a hard one for me to swing. But yeah, Donald's gonna be Donald. He's gonna grift. He's gonna justify anything to bring in some more money for himself. That's who he is, and he probably needs it at this point. Supposedly, the RNC is not paying his legal bills anymore, and I don't know if people are still sending him money for Stop the Steal. So
Stephen, did you send him any more money? Keith?
You already sent him $250 million.
Did you all send him any more money?
Yeah.
Oh, good for you.
I've never sent a politician any money, and a politician has never sent me any money. So we're even.
Okay, Aguna, I think you're the only one who hasn't had a chance to respond to this.
Yeah, I mean, so we have a lot of like whataboutisms and a lot of deflection and diffraction all in the show. But I mean, at the end of the day, think about it. First thing, what Donald Trump came out and said, nobody's ever gotten to the bottom of 9/11. Come on now. That sounds like an idiot. All right. So it's one thing if he owned it and said, hey, look, I'm a businessman. I will leverage my relationships to create deals. That's what I've always done. That would have been a little bit more of respectable than versus saying, hey, well, nobody knew what happened in 9/11. Therefore, I'm going to do this deal because nobody knows. Sowing that doubt, which you hear on this show. I mean, you hear a lot of the talking heads on this show just throw a little bit of doubt in there. And somehow that justifies the fact that the Saudi Arabians were behind 9/11. It's very poor optics to be doing this golf tournament 50 miles from ground zero, knowing all the controversy around it. But what he showed and what we just discussed is like he doesn't care because it's all about money. And then on top of that, you hear people on this show saying, okay, because it's all about money, then, we can't justify, all the morality issues and things like that. I mean, we can still have an opinion. I think it's been very poor taste. And as you can see, the families came out and they protested and things like that. Then it'd be different if Donald Trump said, you know what? Okay, I'm a businessman. I'm doing business deals, but I'm going to, donate certain money around or do some things to help the families of 9/11. I'm not going to sit here and defer and deflect and try to act like, I'm doing something or nobody knows these things. He doesn't own the thing. The cowardice thing about all of this is the fact that he didn't own what he was doing. So that's one thing. I mean, I hear Stephen saying, hey, nobody can say this and all, but at the end of the day, it's very poor taste. And if we can't agree as Americans on just a fundamental truth like that, then we're going down this polarization path, which we hear on the show all the time, of just trying to defend the indefendable. Stephen just defended a pervert. Now he's defending a grifter. I mean, just because he pisses off the left or the Democrats, at the end of the day, it's very poor taste.
And this is what I'm talking. This is what I'm asking everyone. How you feel about this. People want to know. How do you feel about this? Do you think this is right? Do you think that it's okay because it's about the money? If you were in that same position, Stephen,
what does
Todd,
this have to do with
Aguna,
what does this have to do with 9/11, Aguna? What does it have to do with 9/11? I missed that part.
Fact that
what it has to do with
we just talked about it. I mean, don't try to defer or deflect. The Saudi Arabians were behind it. Okay, fine.
I'm not 100% they were behind it, because why did George W. Bush send all of the family members of all of the people that were involved in 9/11 in those planes? Why did he send them on private jets back to Saudi Arabia?
Look, man, don't
we
sit
haven't
here
gotten
trying
to
to
the
get into
bottom of it.
conspiracy theories. You're trying to sit here and justify conspiracy theories from your basement. You're trying to justify conspiracy theories from your basement.
Why did we fly the
Yes, he did that. He shouldn't have done it.
Bush
was wrong to do
Why did
that.
we fly them back to
Bush
Saudi
was
Arabia,
wrong.
Aguna?
That doesn't mean it was right. That doesn't mean it's make it right. Just because Bush did it doesn't make it right, Stephen. What are you talking about?
I'm not saying anything was right. I'm saying I said Bush is not right. George Bush, it was not right to send back the family members of the killers from 9/11 back to Saudi Arabia. Their families,
what does that got to do with what we're talking about? What are you talking about? Why are you bringing that up?
You're talking about their families. You're not talking about the people who perpetuated that violence. You're talking about
they were dead. They were dead. They were in the planes. They died in the plane.
Slow down, Stephen. You're in your basement.
One at a time.
Go ahead, Nas.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
I'm
Nas.
sorry. I'm just saying, like the 9/11 Commission, you can watch the video, you can get the book, you can look into this and find what you need to find. Now, this conversation comes full circle because remember what was going on at the time. Crazy oil prices, us being price gouged at the pump. Then all of a sudden, good relations with Saudi Arabia. Magically, the price goes down. What just happened? Joe Biden went to Saudi Arabia. All of a sudden, a little bit of pressure is relieved for everybody at the pump. So my main point is there are certain relationships that exist, and they're not going to be moral. They're not going to be above board. I just don't think we're the country that should be pointing their finger. That's all, because we do so much.
But I think you can say it was wrong. I mean, that's ridiculous that we can't say it's wrong.
他还说，美方认为这个谈判需要
性行动导致台海局势紧张升级，美国应该也必须为此负全部的责任。你刚才提到的布林肯国务卿的有关言论，颠倒黑白，再次深刻地展现了美方的一些人的霸权的心态和强盗的逻辑，那就是我可以肆意地挑衅你，但是你不可以反对或者自卫。美方应该放弃任何打台湾牌的企图，言行一致、不折不扣地恪守一个中国原则，履行中美3个联合公报。如果美方一意孤行，由此造成的一切严重后果将由美方负责。我可以告诉你的是，美方必将为其损害中国主权安全利益承担责任，付出代价。
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.
Okay, Todd, let's start with you. China didn't want Nancy Pelosi to land. They've threatened. They're sending their MiGs, their fighter pilots around Taiwan. They're threatening the United States. Why?
It doesn't matter what they do. They can't tell the United States what to do. And which I knew she was going to go to Taiwan when she took this trip. And the fact that they would threaten like that meant now she's definitely going. You know, you can't threaten the United States and think nothing's going to happen. So she went, and she should have gone. Oh, that's somebody's phone.
Probably yours.
So I don't think nothing's going to come of it, though China is going to have to retaliate in some kind of way. That's how petty they are. I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm sure they will retaliate and do
But
something with Russia, probably.
And when you say they have to retaliate and do something with Russia, the thing is that we don't necessarily want that retaliation.
No.
Because that is going to be harmful to the United States.
Mm-hmm. Well, it'll be nothing we can't handle. I mean, they're not going to go crazy. We're still the most powerful in the world. So, but they're going to do something like to slap us on the wrist or something like that.
So I know, Keith, this is not one of your favorite subjects, foreign relations, foreign affairs. But do you think China has the right to tell the United States not to visit Taiwan? And because Nancy Pelosi did, do you think China will invade Taiwan like Russia did Ukraine?
Well, I said this is something I will comment on. I am I'm angry with a righteous indignation against China because China is emboldened by the fact that we got a weak president. If Trump was in office, China was silent. China wouldn't say much. They won't bold themselves up. They won't show their teeth. But now that we don't have Trump, this is the only reason they're doing it.
China policy. He apologized.
Would you mute him so I can finish clearly? I want everybody to hear clearly what I have to say. And I say that China is, I can't use the words on but F China, because, China's going to get their asses kicked, and it may not be by us, but the Lord God Almighty is going to deal with them. Because I will say this, and I'm going to say this, listen carefully, in the future, so that you know that I said it. China is going to try to dominate the world, including Israel. They are going to go after Israel. And that's when God Almighty will knock them down. He will destroy it. Okay, so that I hope they are listening, because the Lord God Almighty is going to judge you. All people will be judged by God, and they will not escape. And that's what I have to say about China. They are too much. These people need to be knocked down. And it ain't going to happen on Joe Biden's watch. But maybe if we can get Trump in 2024, they may stand down.
Okay, Aguna.
That was just ridiculous. That was just ridiculous. Okay, China's going after Israel, Joe Biden, all this is ridiculous. Okay,
I said
Donald Trump. Hey, I'll let you speak. Let me talk here. First thing, Donald Trump was a China apologist. He was getting his ties made over there. Okay, he's getting his Trump ties made in China. Of course, he was bowing down.
His daughter has 7 patents in China.
He was making deals with them. Okay, don't sit here and say that they were scared of Donald Trump. He was a puppet for China. Okay, China is trying to do this, in order to save face. But I think it's, at the end of the day, their economy is going through flux. They're dealing with COVID. They're going to sit there and saber rattle, but at the end of the day, they're going to send their goods to the United States because their economy is dependent on us, where our economy is dependent on them. So yeah, there's going to be some provocations and talk, but at the end of the day, because this is a global economy and because, our consumers here rely on China to keep prices low, because if you go to anything in Walmart or wherever you go to shop, you're going to see stuff from China. So sit here and saying that now China's going to go after Israel and God Almighty is going to come down. And this is the reason why a lot of these conservative, crazy white right wingers try to justify their fanaticism. We're a global economy. Pelosi has the right to go to China. They're not going to attack, okay? Because they don't want their economy to collapse. We don't want our economy to collapse. We are tied at the hip when it comes to trade and things like that. So yeah, there's going to be some negotiations. There's going to be some things that are said. There's going to be some back and forth, cyber attacks, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, a global economy, we're going to still trade with them. Now, you think about it, what Donald Trump did to China, again, this misnomer that somehow he was tough on China was ridiculous. If anything, he was tough on China when he invoked tariffs. But that impacted you and I at the pump, because basically they rolled down those tariffs to consumers. So our prices actually went up because this China policy of trying to put tariffs on China, knowing that on the back end he was negotiating deals with his family members and things like that. He was a business partner of China. This is ridiculous. He wasn't tough on China. That is just a flat out lie.
So let me ask Stephen. Stephen, do you agree with Keith? And if so, why do you agree with Keith?
I don't know. Maybe it's great and bad.
No, I think Nancy Pelosi has challenged China a lot. And I know that this could be the third horrible person that, it was Deshaun Watson, Trump, whoever, whatever. This is another horrible person, Nancy Pelosi. But I'm on her side because she throughout the time she's been in office, she hasn't taken much crap off of China. And she went against the administration and did what she thought was right. I think they knocked her out and said, "Hey, she's going there," and you know what? She was put in a position where she would have to go then. But I think she would have went anyway because she's not going to take any crap off of China at all. And I appreciate her strength, and I'm on her side for this. In the same way, when Donald Trump went in there to North Korea, that takes some strength, and it took strength for her to do it because they were threatening to shoot down her plane. Nobody really knows what anybody really has. And the good thing was China didn't know that she'd be riding on a broom and nothing that they have is significant enough to take it out. But no, that was a joke I heard. But
Stephen,
off the dark web.
Taiwan is a sovereign state. I mean, Taiwan is a sovereign country.
China doesn't believe that. China believes that Taiwan belongs to them. The same way we would believe that California belongs to us, but California doesn't belong to us. It belongs to the communists now.
Yeah.
There it goes the conspiracy. You guys need to be on America's side for once. I don't know.
Okay,
you don't like being on America's side.
Nas, did you want to comment on this?
No, I thought Stephen was going to take that to his logical conclusion. He said if somebody I thought he was going to say if somebody invaded California and took it over, we would want it back. Like, I thought he was really about to make a point, man.
Of course we would. Of course we would.
Kind of laid out everything.
But that kind of goes without saying.
Okay, we got you. I'm going to make a great point, though. These are mutually beneficial relationships. And yes, there's going to be saber rattling every once in a while. I think a lot of us who grew up during the Cold War era, we don't know how to look at the world besides having a us versus them mentality. So because of that, we sit up here and slap people on the back for playing a game that could get us close to World War III. In my mind, we shouldn't saber rattle. We need to calm all that down. It's not necessary. And China needs to do the same thing. So was Pelosi going for provocation? Yes. Is them doing military drills outside of Taiwan now because she did provocation? Yes. None of that should happen. It's ridiculous. And I don't know why we're still doing this stuff, to this day. But I think the memory hold of Trump supporters is really important. You got to remember, first couple of weeks, somebody from Taiwan calls the administration. They don't really have their stuff in order yet. They get him to kind of declare, like, yeah, I respect the sovereignty of Taiwan. And then later on that day, they had to backpedal and apologize to China because Trump had to get out there and say, yeah, I believe in a one China policy. Now, this happened. But Keith is not going to remember that because he only looks at he only looks at Trump through loving eyes. He can't remember anything that actually happened. So, it is what it is. So,
as Aguna, I want to get into the Fed rate hike and how what's going on with China is going to affect our economy. So for those of our viewers who are watching, the Feds hiked the rates again. They did that in order to do what, and how will that affect just me and you who go, I'm in Pennsylvania. I paid this weekend $4.45 a gallon for gas.
Well, you're conflating a couple of issues here. So the Fed rose interest rates in order to kind of slow down the growth of the economy. I mean, inflation, right? Things are costing more. So they're trying to slow that down by raising interest rates and trying to slow down how much people can borrow and when people can borrow. So it has a residual
wait,
effect.
Stop right there. Why are they doing that?
To slow down inflation, right?
For
so
what?
they want to take away people's spending power. Now, let me tell you, okay? What it does is it gives people it increases the amount of rates you have to pay for like products and goods, right? So like credit cards and things like that, now your credit cards are going up. So you're not going to try to use those credit cards as much. You're slowing down, the price of things, the amount that companies can borrow in order to grow. So they're trying to slow that down.
So in other words, okay, I want you to break it down to me like I'm in second grade. In
I
other words,
am.
the wage.
I am.
No, you didn't.
Let me
You
finish.
didn't.
You're
You
not
didn't.
letting me.
No, you didn't.
You're not letting me.
I want to say, in other words, you're saying that if I wanted a BJ's credit card, and I tried to get a BJ's credit card right now or Sam's credit card right now,
Are you going to use that credit card? No.
Is going to be really high, and I'm not going to get that card. So I'm not going to spend as much at BJ's or Sam's. That's what you're saying.
Also, when you look at the amount of money it takes to buy a house, the housing market has gone crazy in the last several months, right? So houses are unaffordable. So there's a lot of spending, house flipping going on. In order to slow that down, again, people don't like inflation because products and goods go up, but they like inflation when it comes to like cost of their houses and things like that, salaries going up and things like that. So there's two.
So they're going to kill the housing market, right, Aguna?
They're not going to kill it. They're going to slow it down. I mean, right now it went from insane to ridiculous, right?
Okay.
So you're still, but the problem is those first-time homeowners aren't going to be able to get into the housing market. So if you own a home and you sell it for $1 million, you're going to be able to buy another home for a comparable amount. But if you never owned a home and you don't have a lot of credit and things like that, this is where, increasing the interest rate is going to impact your ability to buy and stuff like that.
The younger generation.
But a lot of this is also a misnomer because the younger generation, they don't really want to buy homes. They want flexibility.
But we want them to buy homes, right?
Not necessarily. I mean, because you're looking at what happened. Let's look at the dynamics of the U.S. economy, post-COVID.
All right, and don't make this Aguna, make this quick and don't make it boring because you're going to lose people.
So a lot of, they're increasing the interest rate in order to slow down the economy, but you're also seeing a dynamic in which young folks are moving around the country to low market cities because they can telework. So there's this flux going on.
Low market cities are what? So they're moving to places like Texas or Georgia where the cost of rent is going to be less than the cost in Philadelphia or New York, right? The cost of groceries are going to be less in South Carolina than it is in New York or LA.
Just like Boardwalk.
So here's the thing. So the thing is, and this is funny because, a lot of people blame Joe Biden for inflation and all this other stuff, but they don't have solutions for it. I mean, at the end of the day, they're doing exactly what they would do if there was a Republican in office, raising interest rates, slowing down the economy. There's not a lot of things that you can do other than that for now. The other part of this is, when you talk about taxes and things like that, I mean, we did a huge tax cut, but now inflation jumped up. So now it's like the U.S. can't pay its bills a little bit. So here's the thing, in this type of economy, we're all going to figure out ways to make money. The U.S. economy is going to chug along. We may slow down. I mean, remember, coming out of COVID, there was such tremendous growth in the stock market and the GDP that it just happened so fast that now we have to slow it down. It doesn't mean so people are.
Why do we have to slow it down? What's the point in slowing it down?
Because they put way too much cash out there. They put too much cash, and it's following too few products. That's what the problem is.
Well, and then you have a dynamic in which people are paying like a lot of salaries, right? It's hard to get really, especially high-tech workers. You have to pay a very high amount of salaries. And what that does, the residual effect of that is things become more expensive because now you're paying people more, they're spending more. And so if you're in a low-cost industry, you're not taking the benefit of that. So that's inflating costs and things like that as well. At the end of the day, the U.S. is going to be okay. We're probably going to be a little uncomfortable. There's a lot of price gouging going on.
Well, we're going to be uncomfortable, not you, Aguna, for God's sakes.
Look. Hey, I'm Nigerian.
That's because everybody thinks Aguna's rich. All right, let's move on.
I'm conservative. I'm fiscal conservative.
No, so you want to make
well. I'm gonna be okay too. No, I'm not worried about it.
You just got to save less debt.
Monetary policy, whether you believe in Keynesian or you believe in Austrian economics, whatever it is, you have to slow down an overheated economy. The only thing I would differ with Aguna was like high GDP and high.
All right, talk to me like I'm two. What is high GDP? Talk to me like I'm two.
Gross domestic product.
What does that mean?
All the goods and services in America, if you tabulated it all together and said, here's the bank sheet.
Give me an example. So if I talk about my grocery list.
Stacey, hold on a second. Let me get through the next sentence. I promise you, I'll get there. So GDP tells you how the nation is doing in a cumulative fashion, like you accumulate everything. PPP, purchasing power parity, tells you people's ability to buy things, what their dollar actually gets them. So GDP is a good metric for looking at a country. Oh, that nation does da-da-da. But if you want to know how the people are actually doing, you got to go to purchasing power parity. Now, those numbers are really down because we're in a creditor's heaven economy at this point. Those who have are doing fine, and some are making more than they ever made. But those who don't have access to credit or access to the cash, they're dealing with rising prices of everything that matters: commodities, gas, oil, heat, everything, the groceries, everything that actually matters, they have to pay more. So you have to figure out a way to slow down this economy, stabilize the price of goods and services, and also make sure that you don't limit how much your corporations can also take risk and, not be hamstrung. So it's a two-sided effort. I think Aguna explained it well. Like this is just really difficult thing to solve. And this is what happens during every, recession or let alone depression. But this is what happens. You have to figure out ways to keep everything functioning. And that's what they're doing. Now, it's not going to work immediately, but it will work eventually. And people, please stop saying Joe Biden caused inflation. Inflation was before Joe Biden. It had nothing to do with Joe Biden. We're talking about the pandemic. You can't even blame Trump for that. A global pandemic that everybody's goods and services stopped. People had to send shipping containers back empty during the pandemic. Like, we had some serious financial crisis going on, which is why we had to do the stimulus and other nations had to do stimulus. Because what? Your economy had stopped. Your government had to pump money in to keep the economy flowing. And here we are, still coming out.
Remember, you're dealing with an electorate that likes to blame people for things, right? So Joe Biden's going to get the blame because it's easier for people to comprehend and justify, right? So you hear this, blaming Joe Biden for the gas prices, knowing that ExxonMobil just made record profits by gouging. Again, we don't have a shortage of gas in this country. We don't have a shortage of licensing. We don't have a shortage, but what we do have is a cartel in the oil industry.
Okay, Keith, can you keep your head up? We don't want to see the top of your head as everybody's talking.
Yeah, Keith is bald, so we don't want to see that egg in there.
So go ahead, Aguna.
So here's the thing. You have a gas, you have ExxonMobil. They know that if we raise their prices, people are going to pay it anyway. They have no incentive to continue to produce or to produce more oil. That's a misnomer. There's no, we have record profits of gas companies right now because they're trying to recoup the losses from COVID. So they're going to keep the prices where they are, and then people are going to complain but pay anyway. Or, by the way, they're going to blame Joe Biden or somebody else, not the gas companies themselves.
That's Todd is laughing at Keith's head. That's what Todd's laughing at.
Rogaine, Keith. Just put some Rogaine in there.
In just 4 days, Arizonans will head to the polls for the primary elections, and the Republican gubernatorial race has been a dogfight. Most notably between longtime real estate developer Karen Taylor Robeson and former TV news anchor Carrie Lake. Tonight, 12 News is profiling both of these leading Republican women in our series of candidate profiles. I've been following the campaign and pick up our series with a profile of Carrie Lake.
I've earned the trust of Arizonans across our state by bringing the real story into your living room night after night. For 27 years, I've covered the people of Arizona.
From covering the news as a longtime TV anchor in the Valley to now turning against it, Carrie Lake is running for governor.
Arizonans deserve better. As governor, I'll bring truth, courage, and integrity back to the state capitol.
Since her big announcement in June 2021, Lake has hit the ground running, from campaign ads.
As governor, I will issue a declaration of invasion, finish President Trump's wall, blow up the cartel's drug tunnels and surveillance drones, and deploy the Arizona National Guard to stop illegals from entering.
To holding rallies and securing an endorsement from former President Donald Trump. Lake fired up a crowd last Friday in Prescott Valley. calling politicians spineless as she continues to promote debunked election theories.
They sat there, they did nothing as our elections were stolen from us. How dare they?
And that has been a focal point in her campaign.
We want transparency in our elections, and we want honest elections.
Lake's campaign declined our request for an interview, saying they were going to pass due to her tight schedule. Still, she's made her stance clear on key issues, voicing a controversial take on education.
Between anti-American history that's being taught, inappropriate sex education, and the racist critical race theory, or as I like to refer to it all, woke curriculum, it is teaching our children hatred, and it's also setting them up for failure and misery.
And abortion.
I will fight for all Arizonans, including the unborn. I'll do everything in my power to promote life, and I'll make sure Republicans do the right thing.
And Arizona's drought.
And we cannot regulate ourselves out of a drought, and we cannot continue to give the ag community the short end of the stick.
Despite her conservative policy agenda, Lake faces criticism that she hasn't always held these same views. Now she faces a competitive and expensive race. She's spent more than $3.1 million so far, but her biggest competitor, Karen Taylor Robeson, has spent 5 times that amount, $16 million. And polls show Robeson is closing in. 12 News is your election headquarters. We'll have extended coverage from the polls on Tuesday and full election results as they come in all evening long, right here on TV and online. Later tonight on 12 News at 6, we profile another big name running for governor, Karen Taylor Robeson.
All right, there are key races tonight in Arizona, which you just saw, Kansas, Michigan, Missouri, Washington State, and the state legislature in Ohio. If you are in any of those states, we hope that you have exercised your duty and your right to vote. We don't have much time, so we'll just, I want to move on. Did anyone want to make a comment about that before I move on?
Yeah, our media is terrible. They haven't learned anything since 2016. You platform a liar and a person who believes in conspiracy theories by playing the person spouting those conspiracies. You're not actually doing anything by trying to both sides everything. Our media is so terrible and still hasn't figured this simple thing out. By giving those people a platform, you're actually justifying even any idiotic thing that they say out in there.
Thank you.
Yeah, and she reminds me of the rest of the nut jobs like Ron DeSantis, Matt Gaetz, who body shames women, Josh Hawley, all of these nut jobs who lie readily, and people give them platforms. It's just amazing.
It's called the First Amendment, gentlemen.
No, it's called wackos trying to gimmick and drift their way into American politics. We can't get back. Why can't we get back to policy? Right? Everything she talked about is nothing but like gimmick, bumper sticker politics. Let's talk about fiscal policy. Let's talk about real tangible results, not this what's this anti-woke mean? The fact that you're even bringing up woke in your campaign ad.
What does woke mean?
You do what Joe Biden did. You do what Joe Biden did. You take
it's nothing to do with Joe Biden.
And do the opposite. We need to take everything that Biden did and do the opposite of that.
And you got to have a boogeyman. You got to have a scapegoat. Joe Biden's a scapegoat right now.
The biggest boogeyman that y'all ever seen was
Dr. Fauci's your boogeyman.
You talk about a boogeyman.
Fauci lives
y'all are still scared of Donald Trump, and he's not even president.
No, we're not. We think he's an idiot. And those that are idiots too.
Because you know he can win if it's a fair.
Okay, he didn't win. He didn't win.
He did win. He did.
Back here at home, President Biden has tested positive for COVID again, the second day in a row. The president's doctor, though, says he continues to feel well. The test means that President Biden will remain in isolation. The White House released this video of President Biden FaceTiming veterans' rights supporters on Saturday. But the president cannot hit the road at a critical time for his agenda. Here's ABC's White House correspondent, Mary Alice Parks.
President Biden working from home tonight with a so-called rebound case after taking the antiviral pill Paxlovid. Despite testing positive for the second day in a row today, the president says he has no symptoms. His doctor writing that he continues to feel well.
Hey, Dennis, Joe.
From his isolation at the White House, the president Saturday calling protesters gathered at the Capitol offering his support in their fight for a bill that would expand health care to millions of veterans.
Thank you for your heart. Thank you for your soul.
Well, you need to go. The bill would extend benefits to veterans exposed to toxic burn pits while serving in Iraq and Afghanistan.
This is a national shame.
Mr. Daines, no.
Republicans last week blocking the measure, seen here fist pumping when it stalled. They say the funds should have stricter limits. Democrats and activists around the country, including comedian Jon Stewart, standing firm.
We will stay there until the United States government does the right thing by the men and women who fought to protect it.
This week, the president on the verge of a major win. Democrats hoping to finally pass their budget deal that would allow Medicare to negotiate the price of prescription drugs, set a 15% corporate minimum tax, and make historic investments in clean energy. Senator Joe Manchin, a longtime holdout in the party, explaining to ABC's Jonathan Karl how he finally got to yes.
I was unbeknownst to me that there were people not paying any taxes whatsoever. These are the largest corporations in America, and we just said it should be a floor of a 15% minimum.
And because this big bill that Democrats are trying to pass is strictly a budget bill, they can do it this week with just 50 votes, but that means every Democrat is needed. Everyone has to be there, healthy, voting in person. And there's still a big question around Arizona Democrat Kyrsten Sinema. She has not said yet whether she backs this bill, Lindsay.
She remains the big question mark. Mary Alice, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.
Okay. Real quickly, let's start with Stephen. Stephen, just your comment. I'm not even going to ask a question. Just your comment on that. On the passing of that bill finally by the Senate Republicans. It had to come through twice, and they didn't want to pass it to help the people who are out there fighting for their rights.
Well, I do believe that the bill had more attachments and some pork added on to it, and that's why the Republicans
did not.
Hey, I'm telling you, this is what I've heard, that it had something extra attached to it.
You heard
if it's
that.
just, or if it's something added extra that they didn't like,
it was the same bill. They voted. They agreed on it.
And every Republican and every Democrat and every independent, we all want to make sure that our heroes are well taken care of. Everybody wants to do that. There's something that is true. Nobody wants people to suffer.
Move on to somebody else.
Nobody wants.
They did. They voted against the bill. They voted against the bill.
They voted against the Democrats.
They don't want to give.
Went against what they believed in.
No,
that's why they did.
They didn't want to give the Democrats a win.
No,
they voted against it because they didn't want to give the Democrats.
That's not. It's not a Democrat win. It's a win for everybody.
But
that's the way they were looking at it. That's the way they were looking at it.
They would give the Democrats a win if they didn't pass it because everybody agrees you need to take care of these people.
Okay,
there's a reason they didn't do it. And you're not putting out the truth.
It's okay.
There's
it's over your head.
It was stuff
Monkeypox vaccine
to it
clinics reopened in San Francisco today. 950 vaccines were administered at San Francisco General Hospital, where a line started to form at 5 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, really early. Questions now being raised about, how this particular monkeypox strain is being spread, especially at large gatherings such as Dory Alley, Folsom, and outside lands, which kicks off this weekend.
Lots of stuff going on. KRON 4's Rob Nesbitt talked with an infectious disease expert, Dr. Peter Chin Hong, and he joins us now with more on all of this. Rob.
The doctor broke it down into 3 parts. He says that when it comes to the spread of monkeypox, there's high, medium, and low, crediting the vaccine, which created a long line today and in San Francisco, with being able to put more people in the low category.
From the start of the current monkeypox outbreak, Dr. Peter Chin Hong said that prolonged skin-to-skin contact is the most common way that monkeypox is spread, a high-risk scenario.
Intimate contact is very efficient because you're making little cuts in the skin of the person who's not infected, and the virus from the open sore can enter very easily.
Another way that monkeypox is spread is through shared bedding and clothing. Not as likely, but still possible.
But that's usually in somebody who's had an open lesion, slept in the bedding, and then it survives in that way with a high load. So I'd call that like maybe medium.
Dr. Chin Hong says monkeypox can only be spread from the time someone feels sick to the time their rash scabs off. Casual interactions, such as a simple handshake, are low risk and would require very specific scenarios for spread.
You could be shaking somebody's hand, have a cut in your hand, and the person has an open sore, and they didn't know it or recognize it. That's possible.
But unlikely. As far as events like outside lands, the doctor is more concerned about what happens behind closed doors than he is about music lovers gathering in Golden Gate Park.
The most risky activities are not in outside lands. It's in the events or the intimate settings that people have or encounters they have after the event.
Dr. Chin Hong says the vaccines administered today and last month will be a game changer with monkeypox. He says the shot will abort the disease completely if taken within the first 4 days of being infected. Reporting live in the studio, I'm Rob Nesbitt, KRON 4 News.
Okay, this is our round table. Let's start it with Keith, then Stephen, then Aguna, then Cousin Todd. Keith, your comment on monkeypox, should you get vaccinated or not? And, you know, the World Health Organization has made this an emergency. It hasn't necessarily reached all of the United States in the same numbers it has been in California, but it may be on its way. And how do you think the best way is to protect ourselves? Would it be through getting the medicine that was made for it for monkeypox?
Well, it sounds to me like you can avoid it just by your lifestyle, at least for the most part. I mean, he talked about skin on skin contact. Well, that's something to worry about. But then again, he said handshakes are not that dangerous unless you have an open sore, open wound.
And even if.
So I don't see how it's really at this point an emergency. You know, I really don't, compared to COVID. I mean, when you just breathe on somebody, they're talking about you getting COVID, so you got to wear a mask. So I wouldn't say it's worthy of getting a vaccination. And since this is a closing comments, I want to make this comment, and then I'm done. I hope I answered your question, Stacey. And now let me just say this: for the record, there's two verses that I want to read from Scripture, and this is from the last discussion. It's to everyone who overcomes. This is Christ speaking to the church, to the believer. To the believer, he says, to everyone who overcomes, who to the very end keeps on doing what I command or what pleases me, I will give power over the nations. That's why I'm not worried about anything that these nations are doing, and really including our nation. But I will fight to the end because God commands that I fight. And it says, you will rule them with a rod of iron, as my Father has given me the authority. So they will be broken like a potter's vessel. In other words, like pottery, they will crumble. All the nations of the world will crumble under the weight and righteousness of Christ when he returns. And I don't care what people believe on this show. That is what I believe, and I'm just expressing it. So there
is
you
that
go.
New or Old Testament, Keith? Is that New or Old Testament?
The book of Revelations, chapter 2, verse 26, as Jesus speaking to the churches.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Stephen.
I think the shot sounds.
False prophets.
I think the shot sounds great, and it's a good idea. And I think that every gay person who is familiar with this activity that causes it, and they have a bunch of random gay people having sex with each other, they should probably take off from doing it for a while and get shots if they want to get shots. If they don't want to get shots, then kind of isolate yourself a little bit, because about 95% or more is gay people that are getting this disease. So maybe we can beat it if people would just say, I'm going to stay home for a little while and just watch some television. Maybe I'll watch some Netflix and chill and just be by myself. Maybe that's what people need to do for a while. Just kind of calm down for a little bit and not get the monkeypox. It just makes sense to me. And get the shot, because if they say this shot's effective and you believe in the shots anyway, and you've gotten all your other shots, get this shot if you want to get this shot, because they're saying it's good and you don't have to worry about getting monkeypox. Like, you remember when they said with the other shots, you don't have to worry about getting COVID. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. Who knows? But if you feel like getting the shot, get the shot and protect. Stop having sex for about a month or two and see if things cool down a little bit.
Thank you.
I don't think Todd agrees with you, Stephen.
I think me and Todd's on the same page. In the same
Aguna.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a hard act to follow right there. I mean,
it is.
Stop staying out. Just Jesus, get out of people's private lives. I mean, if you want to take the shot, definitely take the shot. Just pawning it off on gay people, though, Stephen, I think that's a little.
That's the facts. That's the paper. That's the paperwork right there.
Man, it's not the first time you made up stuff on this show.
I didn't make anything up. I'm telling you the truth. I don't make anything up. I'm gonna resent you for saying I made something up. I don't make it up.
Look, you've been down in that basement. You're 3 levels down. I don't think information flows very readily.
Everything flows.
You want to sum it up? Sum it up, Aguna.
Bottom line of it is, it's up to you as an individual. I'm not necessarily.
She's telling you sum it up, but she lets those whack jobs go on and on and on.
I know. Keith just had like a church sermon in here.
Yes,
where he was justifying nonsense. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, just be safe, be healthy. It's your choice if you want monkeypox vaccine. I don't think, right now it's not really prevalent in Virginia, but that doesn't mean you need to be. You should still be cautious. So yeah, if it's your preference, if you're in these urban areas in New York, yeah, you may want to consider it. But right now, I'm not necessarily. It's not on my radar as something that I'm worried about. Me personally.
All right. Thank you. Cousin Todd.
I think people should go ahead and get the vaccine. And for those who are at risk. And the problem is not that the people don't want to get the vaccine. It's not readily available. And so the government has to step up and get those vaccines ready for distribution. I don't think anybody would have a problem taking the vaccine. But what's hysterical to me is two-faced, double-talking, flip-flop Stephen saying, I think you should get the vaccine because you keep getting other vaccines, so get the vaccine. How can he tell people to get the vaccine? And then, or else just stay home for a month and stop having sex. How's he telling people what to do?
He wants to
just said, I don't want him to get monkeypox.
He just said that he shouldn't have to be in a lockdown, and Biden had us in a lockdown. And
it's because
all right, Todd, let me add this, Todd, because you're the last person to talk about this. It says California, according to NPR.org, California and Illinois declare states of emergency to help fight monkeypox outbreaks. This was updated today at 9:33 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
It's rare, but it's potentially serious disease that requires the full mobilization of all available public health resources to prevent the spread, Governor Pritzker said. Go ahead, Cousin Todd, and I got to stop you really quickly.
Okay, finish up really quick. Is that what you said? Okay. Yeah, the fact of the matter is people who are sexually promiscuous should go ahead and get the vaccine, and the federal government needs to make it readily available, like I said. And I was going to talk about forget it. We'll do it next week because it's a different subject. But it's the last subject that we talked about. But that's all right. Go on.
All right. Yes.
One more thing. In California, the governor came out and said it was an emergency. And so, you think about what happened in COVID, that too was an emergency. But think about it. I don't see anybody. They're not telling anybody to go around and you have to get vaccinated or you have to wear a mask. Yet this is considered an emergency. These people, they just want power. And once again, that's why I read
those two. Power?
Yeah, who are you talking about? Stop scapegoating.
I'm talking about
you're just angry for no reason. You're an angry Uncle Ruckus black man.
Steven, help me out.
Stop being an angry black man.
Help me out.
Help me out. Make out with me.
Effort to take this world over.
There it goes.
There it goes. Take over the world.
Hey, come on,
here it
Steven.
is.
Yeah.
The governor
Help me,
of
Steven.
All right.
Who is
It's
they?
the liberal new world order. That's what
There
it
it
is.
is.
That's what they
There
want
it is.
To our first responders in our community, you make our lives livable. Thank you, thank you, thank you to our women and men of the U.S. military for all that you do and sacrificing your lives so that we are free to say whatever on this show. We are forever, forever, forever indebted. On behalf of Aguna, the Nigerian moderate Republican, Keith, the constitutional conservative, Stephen, the independent thinker.
Give me a break. He is not. He's crazy.
Dr. Fauci.
And my cousin Todd. I'm Stacey Johnson. Let's keep this conversation going. Please check us out on Stephanie Stallworth's The Flow Network. You can catch our shows on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, and check out our new Instagram page at Sporlitics. And thank you, Nas, for joining us. We'll talk to you next week.
Steven is so crazy, but it was good that you covered up that face.
Fauci rent free in his head.
Good that you cover your face with your face.
You should be ashamed of yourself, Steven. Come out that basement.
Out of what?
Come out the basement. You're 3 levels down, man. Past the